How was your day? We are Whyisthat, and welcome to our podcast series that often begins with why questions based on the first principles thinking method. This approach offers you diverse perspectives on various life issues. To truly live with spirit, join us for this episode. Tell me, Hugh, is loving someone with all your heart right or wrong? The story of Chubby Cat has recently stirred up Chinese social media with various opinions. It tells of a 21-year-old young man, nicknamed Chubby Cat, who fell in love with a 27-year-old girl he met online. For 2 years, believing in her promise of a family, Chubby Cat furiously played games, earning money which he then spent entirely on gifts for his girlfriend: gold rings, shoes, clothes, even opening a flower shop for her. Over 2 years, he transferred a total of approximately 1.5 billion VND, about 60,000 USD, to her. To save such a large sum, he ate very sparingly. Chubby Cat's favorite food was McDonald's, but he dared not eat it. He even changed his avatar to "Don't want vegetables, want McDonald's." They dated for 2 years, with 1.5 years being long distance, and only met twice. They had originally promised to marry, but as the time approached, the girl began to use various excuses to break up. Chubby Cat tried to hold on to the relationship, but everything led to a dead end. Gathering all his disappointment, he finally decided to give up on himself. Just before he left, he transferred 66,000 Chinese yuan to the girl and ordered 780 flowers for the shop she opened with his money. Perhaps she will never know that 780 symbolizes the 780 days they were together. After learning of this story, many people bought flowers and fried chicken and brought them to the bridge where Chubby Cat passed away, accompanying them with messages hoping that in his next life, he would love someone more deserving and love himself more. A segment of young Vietnamese people also followed the trend, buying fried chicken and releasing it into Westlake to express their sympathy for the deceased young man. This act sparked much controversy. Empathizing with a tragic fate is undeniable, but these trend-following actions began to show distorted perceptions. Many individuals expressed weariness for a number of young people, observing that they were lazy at home but diligent in other people's business. Not to mention, the truth behind this story was later revealed. The girlfriend and Chubby Cat actually had an equitable relationship, and she even advised him not to transfer money to her anymore, but to use it for his future plans. At this point, who would public opinion side with? Here, we are not discussing who is right or wrong, who should be held responsible, whose side we should take, or whom we should mourn. Let's view this story as a lesson to reflect on ourselves, to stop admiring the blind love that young man had for his girlfriend, to stop considering this an example proving the saying that all good guys have gone extinct, and to stop lamenting when we force ourselves to believe that in love, the one who loves more is the loser. Tell me, is loving someone with all your whole heart, pouring out all your soul for the one you love, right or wrong? First, let's clarify what loving wholeheartedly is defined as. According to psychologist Nguyen Quoc Dat, as shared in Chu Tree newspaper, loving wholeheartedly must be determined across multiple dimensions. In philosophy, it is the devotion of all heart, strength, wisdom, soul, and body. In other words, it is the way of a true love, the premise and foundation of marriage. Simply put, we can divide it into 3 dimensions: sexual, material, and emotional. Loving wholeheartedly can be understood as sacrificing or dedicating 1, 2, or all 3 of these aspects to the other person. A couple was very happy together. The boyfriend doted on the girl immensely, but one day they broke up. The girl cried, recounting that her boyfriend made demands that she absolutely refused, so he claimed she didn't truly love him, didn't love him wholeheartedly, and then dumped her. In this day and age, who still loves platonically, love without sex is just comradeship. A few days after the breakup, she messaged him wanting to get back together, and what happened next was inevitable. The young girl was truly manipulated by the belief in loving wholeheartedly. Another couple, the girlfriend, despite knowing her boyfriend was seeing several other girls simultaneously, still accepted it. She was like a doll, her entire mind focused solely on her boyfriend. He told her to stand, she stood, to sit, she sat. She dared to argue with her parents, but absolutely dared not contradict her boyfriend. Every time she made a mistake, he would threaten to break up, and she would frantically beg and then just cry to her best friend, "He was my first. I feel like my life has been given to him. I love him with all my heart. I'm willing to sacrifice everything for him. If he ever leaves me, I'll surely die. Little did she know that on the sidewalk of a certain cafe, her boyfriend was sitting with his friends, puffing on a cigarette, then smirking. This girl acted so high and mighty at first, but once it's done, she's as obedient as a puppy. Or there's this couple, similar to Chubby Cat's case. The girlfriend's boyfriend had to work several jobs at once to cover all her living expenses. She was unemployed, spending all day on makeup, ordering food, designer bags, and leather shoes regularly to take pictures and check in, showing off her luxurious lifestyle to her friends. When she asked for things, she was sweet with him, making promises and vows, making him overjoyed. But once the transfer was successful, she would turn sour, irritable, and even criticize him, saying, "You're already ugly, so if you have a beautiful girlfriend like me, you'd better keep her, or you'll lose her." In your opinion, are the stories above truly love? Blind love like that is obsessive, so foolish. But obsessive love is still love, just loved in the wrong way. Psychologists have explained that obsessive love is a desperate need to find someone to love due to the fear of being alone or the fear of rejection. This condition affects 3 to 10% of the population. Obsessively loving people are often dependent on their partners to an unrealistic degree. They are constantly worried their partner will leave them, cannot stop thinking about the other person, and consider them their source and reason for living. So why do people become obsessively in love? Why do people love so blindly? According to psychologist Dr. Dang Hoang Gan, there are 2 main reasons. First, those with a low ability to assess their self-esteem are more prone to obsessive love. In 1981, psychologist William Swan proposed the self-verification theory, explaining why not everyone maintains their beliefs, values, or controls their behavior, but are influenced by others. According to this theory, self-verification means individuals always want others to see them the way they see themselves. The key to how people will act lies not in proving or refuting others' opinions of them, but in how they perceive themselves. Specifically, those with a positive self-image will strive for others to see their good qualities, while those with a negative self-image will show others their unstable aspects, which coincidentally aligns with judgments they have received from others. People with low self-esteem will always feel bad about themselves, constantly searching for flaws. They are always afraid that people will treat them badly, so when someone treats them even a little kindly, they become excessively happy, showering positive emotions on the other person, always seeing themselves as inferior and trying to endure bad things because they believe they deserve it. The second reason is that people prone to obsessive love often carry an unhappy family history within them. 2 adults do not just love each other as they are, they bring all the characteristics of their respective family histories to how they interact. This has been proven in research by psychologists Paul Amato and Alan Booth. According to them, adults unhappy in love are heavily influenced by their parents' relationship. Experts call this learning from observation. Children in families where parents conflict have fewer opportunities to learn healthy behaviors like mutual support, compromise, or resolving disagreements amicably. Instead, children only absorb what they witness, such as loud arguments or silent treatment, and the use of demeaning words. They begin to interpret all unhealthy behaviors in a relationship as permissible to maintain and protect love. Cognitively, they know these behaviors cause pain and should stop, but in terms of belief, they think people only engage in such behaviors out of love. Alongside these studies, another form exists called extended family competition. Individuals transfer unresolved issues with their parents onto their lovers or partners. They carry resentments towards their parents and yearn for validation from them, but have been powerless many times. Now, they place all those feelings onto their lover or partner. They unconsciously believe they can repair past resentments when in an equal position, rather than in the child's position. The result is that these lovers project both their wounds and boundless love, which should have been expressed and healed with their parents, onto each other. They are not only trapped in love and hatred between themselves, but also trapped in love and hurt with their original families. So, how do we love correctly? How do we love wholeheartedly without losing ourselves? In reality, there is no specific concept for right or wrong in love. Blind love or obsessive love actually has blind spots in the mind that the person involved is refusing or finding it difficult to find healthier coping mechanisms for. However, difficult does not mean impossible. We often hear wise people advise everyone to love more rationally. However, there will be many who refute this, arguing that rationality is about calculating, measuring, judging, overthinking, and overanalyzing, always considering gains and losses, so nothing ever seems perfect. How can one love then? But love must come with a condition, discernment, which people often lack. That is why the world suffers. And now we should have a deeper understanding of what is called rational love. Psychologists don't call it rational love. Instead, they call it conscious love. Conscious love is understanding that all emotions originate from thoughts, and every event that happens has a reason. It's true that sometimes we cannot explain why we feel a certain way and fall deeply in love with someone, but in fact, it's not by chance that we fall for them. It might be due to their appearance, their talent, sympathy for their circumstances, or admiration for their kind personality. Conscious love is always understanding that every occurrence has a root cause, and this is the premise that helps us solve problems. Of course, in the battle between emotion and reason, emotion often prevails. But once we have practiced recognizing that emotions come from thoughts, we will gradually gain control. For example, you feel despair when your lover threatens to break up. You consider him everything. Without him, you cannot live. This feeling of despair has a reason, stemming from your low self-esteem and traumas from your family. You don't love that person to the extent that you cannot live without them. You are just loving unconsciously. Conscious love aims at choosing what benefits a relationship where you yourself need to be healthy first. Be self-centered to make yourself healthy, and altruistic to help your companion be healthy too. These two aspects can coexist without excluding each other. The additional question is, how can someone who is loving blindly become capable of loving consciously? The answer can only be to gradually learn. This process of learning and practicing includes two stages. First, acknowledging the wounds, and second, healing the spirit. Acknowledging the wounds includes 1. Admitting that you are desperate in an unhealthy relationship. 2. Deciding to stop trying to save the relationship and instead decide to save yourself. 3. Seeking mental assistance from outside, such as from trustworthy family, close friends, experienced listeners, or professional help from psychological counselors. 4. Giving yourself space to reflect. You might stop contact with your partner. Temporarily ceasing contact with a toxic relationship will help you focus on yourself. This reflection can revolve around several topics, such as comparing your persistent mood. Is it better or worse before and after entering the relationship? What warnings did trustworthy people who care about you give about this relationship? To what extent are their words now true? Where do you believe your self-worth lies? What do you deserve? What kind of romantic relationship do you expect, and how far is your current relationship from that ideal? For the spiritual healing step, this is a very long and difficult journey. Some experiences in the process of spiritual healing will include 1. Recognizing your own repetitive patterns of failures and pain in relationships. Reevaluate the behaviors you contributed to those failures. 2. Next, evaluate the repetition of your original family patterns in your current self. Make peace with a wounded childhood. 3. After that, learn healthier behavioral patterns in romantic relationships, such as evaluating your partner's behavior against your own expectations, establishing boundaries in the relationship, communicating these boundaries frankly and respectfully with your partner, knowing how to say no and express dissatisfaction when your partner infringes on your boundaries, while maintaining respect for your partner. For example, if you are an early sleeper, you don't need to stay up until 1 or 2 a.m. every day waiting for your partner. If you can't watch horror movies, you don't need to grit your teeth and endure in the cinema just to please your lover. Or if you're not ready for intimacy, you don't have to follow your partner's wishes just because they want you to prove your sincere love for them. To have a healthy relationship, you must accept and respect yourself and show that to your partner. If they don't respect your principles, they don't deserve you. You can only be in a healthy relationship if you know how to love both your partner and yourself. Take time for yourself and listen to your feelings to know what you need. Each time you unfortunately experience a toxic relationship, learn from it instead of blaming yourself. Everything requires learning. Nothing is naturally good and sustainably maintained. Love is the same. For me, loving wholeheartedly is not about pouring out your soul to sacrifice and love someone. Loving wholeheartedly is loving someone with your complete self. In Buddhism, there's a saying that meeting is not simple. It takes 100 years of cultivation to share a boat, 1,000 years to share a bed. If you want to hold someone's hand and walk through life, it requires much effort and nurturing. Learning to balance heart and mind is how we keep that karmic connection strong. The most beautiful love is when we suddenly love someone without calculation, willing to give without needing to receive, yet still discerning enough to recognize each other's shortcomings and grow together. I think that is true love. Tell me, Hugh, is loving someone with all your heart right or wrong, and why?